My question related to the vegan stuff was, doesn't eating sattvic food show that the mind is dependent upon the body?
Yes, even Bhagavan says mind is dependent on the body.
Yeah, okay. But we're not the body either. So ultimately the body is dependent.
No,
it's
but
confusing.
the sense in which the mind is dependent on the body, let's say ego, because mind is a term that can mean different things in different contexts. Ego, what is ego? According to Bhagavan, ego is nothing but the false awareness, I am this body. So without a body, ego never rises without a body. But the body doesn't exist independent of ego. Ego is the root. Ego rises and projects the body and grasps it as I. It's projecting it and grasping as I is all one process. So yes, ego is dependent on the body, but it's not dependent on any one body, because it can, in each state it rises, it projects a body. So now it's dependent on this body. In dream, it's dependent on some other body. When this life comes to an end, and if another life comes, it'll be dependent on that body.
What happens if another life doesn't come? You're in eternal awareness, or what?
So long as there is, you're already in eternal awareness, but or eternal bliss or whatever. So long as there is ego, the nature of ego is rising and dreaming. So until ego is eradicated, it will continue rising and dreaming. Intermittently, it needs rest, so it subsides in sleep, and then it rises up again. So that is the nature of ego. So when ego is annihilated, what remains is what is always present, which is our own real nature, which is eternal, unbroken, infinite, Satchitananda. But that is there even now. Even now we are that. As Bhagavan said, there is nothing new to be attained. Jnana is not the attainment of a new knowledge. If we remove the false knowledge, then the real knowledge will remain. That real knowledge is the fundamental awareness I am.
You said we were unbroken Satchitananda. That part I remember. That was the last thing.
Yeah. That's what we actually are. Even when we rise as ego, because ego is just a false appearance. When we investigate ourselves, we will find that we were always that.
So like when you're talking to someone, you don't actually see them as another person, you just see it all as Bhagavan, basically.
I see as you see.
Right. And Bhagavan just sees himself.
Bhagavan sees himself.
I see.
We see all this multiplicity.
I see. Okay. Sounds good.
What we see as multiplicity is what Bhagavan sees as himself.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Because it's the rope, not the snake.
Yes, exactly.
Now, what's interesting in what you say there is a lot of people get upset, honestly, when they say, when I look at this table, I see it as awareness. But you sort of flip that. First, you have to see Bhagavan, then you see then Bhagavan is all that is.
Yeah.
It's not separate.
If you don't see yourself as pure awareness, you cannot see other things as pure awareness. When you see yourself as pure awareness, there are no other things at all.
Right.
Because what you were previously experiencing as other things were just an illusory appearance. The substance of that appearance was pure awareness. I've just finished another article, which I yet to put. I will probably, if I have time, I'll do it this evening, or more probably tomorrow. I'll post it on my website, which is about free will again. It's the old subject. because it's a subject that comes up time and again. And what has been recorded of Bhagavan's views is, a lot of it is inadequate, and people interpret it wrongly. And so many people seem to be convinced that Bhagavan said there's no free will at all, which of course wasn't what he said. So this article is again addressing that subject.
Well, he did say, like, the highest knowledge is neither free will nor determinism.
Yeah, but
that's like the highest whatever.
He also said there's no ego, but so long as there seems to be ego, there seems to be a world, there seems to be will, and there seems to be destiny. All are as real as this ego.
Exactly, I agree with that.
So we can't deny any of these things, so long as we are aware of ourselves as I am this body, I am this person.
Well, I think it would be very important to have that message out there, because, you know, a lot of these Neo-Advaita people, especially influenced by Balsakar, think there is no free will, and it's really detrimental to spiritual progress, in my view.
In this article, in one paragraph, I referred to the Neo-Advaita view, and how some of them jump to the conclusion that if you're going to get enlightenment, you'll get enlightenment, because it's all predetermined. But there is no free will.
Oh, it's like the Calvinist version of Advaita.
Yeah.
All determined.
Yes.
That's horrible.
All these philosophers are arguing about free will without first having a clear definition of what they mean by free will. And if you don't have a clear definition, you run into confusion. Because generally what people refer to as free will is the freedom to do what you want. But that is not freedom of will, that is freedom of action. Before there's freedom of action, you need to say, is the will free? Are we free to want what we want? Well, by definition, we are free to want what we want. No one can make you want what you don't want, or to stop you wanting what you do want.
My other question, I think you answered it actually in one of your videos, but it just relates to sort of what grounds Bhagavan's ethics, because we're meant to act ethically, yet the universe is an illusion. So I kind of don't see what grounds why not me in particular, why one wouldn't do something wrong, you know.
Okay. In this world, you see many people, don't you?
Yes.
And by people, I mean not only human people, but also people in other forms, that is dogs, cats, cows, pigs. They're all people. They all have personality, all have character.
I agree with that.
It seems to us that all those other people are sentient, like us. And for all practical purposes, so long as we're looking outwards, we have to accept that they seem to be as sentient as we seem to be. What is the basis of this illusion that there are other sentient creatures?
My own sentience, so ego, you would say?
No, not your sentience.
Oh, okay. My ego.
Now you take it. It seems to you now that Shawn is sentient. Shawn is aware of what is going on. Shawn is not aware of anything. Shawn is the name of a body. And that body has a mind. Shawn, to put it in brief, Shawn is the name of a person. That person is a combination of what are called panchakoshas, 5 sheaves. That is a physical body, the life that animates that body, the mind, the intellect, and the will. These together make up Shawn. But it is not any of these five sheaves, according to Bhagavan, are jada, they're insentient. So Shawn is not aware of anything. What is aware of all this is ego. And because the ego is aware of itself as I am Shawn, it seems to be ego that Shawn is aware. And because Shawn seems to be aware, all the other people also seem to be aware. But neither Shawn, nor Michael, nor any other person is aware. What is aware is only I, the ego.
Right.
So
I see.
so in a dream, who is projecting the dream? The dreamer.
The ego.
Yeah, the dreamer is ego. So as ego, we project a dream, but we never see the dream from outside. We always see the dream from inside, because in a dream, we always experience ourselves as a person within our dream. This is why, though the dream is our own creation, we have no control over it. Because we are the creator, but we experience ourselves as if we were a creature. That is, we experience ourselves as being a part of our creation. So as that small part of the creation, we have no control over it, or we may have limited control over the person we seem to be, but the rest of the creation is out of our control. So if we're being chased by a monster, we can't just decide that monster is just a little mouse, it's harmless. That monster is as real as we are, and it's very terrifying, so you have to run away and hide somewhere.
But kind of like, what would matter if it ate you, for example? What would matter? Why would it matter?
It's rather painful being eaten.
But but that's still like illusion, right?
It is illusion, yes. What would happen if you walk out in the middle of the street and run over by a bus?
I mean, none of it sounds fun to me. I'm just saying, like, if it's all an illusion, I kind of don't see what's the motive to not get hit by a bus, other than, yeah, it'll hurt, but I don't know, like, it kind of doesn't matter, though.
You can say it's an illusion, but that is not your experience.
Right, exactly.
You experience this body called Shawn. You experience this body as yourself, don't you?
Yes, I do.
We can understand it's an illusion. That is at a certain superficial level, but our actual experience is, I am this body.
Would Bhagavan experience the bus, or how would that happen for him? But I'm associating Bhagavan with a body, you would say, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. That is, when we talk about Bhagavan, we need to be clear. Are we talking about the person, Ramana Maharshi, or are we talking about the reality that appeared in our view in the form of that person? What Bhagavan actually is only pure awareness. In the view of pure awareness, there's no body, no world, no ego. There is just what is. That what is only ego. It is only pure awareness.
Exactly.
So that is the reality of Bhagavan. But in our view, we see Bhagavan as a person. And that person seems to see the world just as we see it.
It's kind of both.
Well, yes, we need to understand.
He did see the world.
But Bhagavan said, because you mistake yourself to be a body, you take me to be a body.
Yes.
But the truth is, neither are you the body that you seem to be, nor am I the body that you see me as.
I see. So then what was his experience?
I am.
And that sort of includes everyone? It just concludes what is?
It includes everyone in the sense that it includes the only one. There is only one.
See.
I am is one. It's ekam eva. The fundamental principle of Advaita is ekam eva advaitiyam. That means one only without a second. So that is Bhagavan's experience.
One only without a second?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense. So when we're talking, we're identified as that, but there's still a me and still a you, or for you, it's just what is, and kind of I'm not here and you're not there. Or how does that work? My
experience is exactly the same as yours, because I'm under the same illusion that you're under. So, but so long as we are looking outwards, we see many people. And because the person we seem to be, Because we seem to be this person seems to be sentient. So all the other people seem to be insentient. That is why morality is necessary. Because if that is, immorality is based on selfishness. When I think only I matter, others don't matter, that's where all unethical actions arise. When we take ourselves to be a body, if we think only this body matters, other bodies don't matter, that increases our egotism. Our selfishness is increased. If we think only I'm the only sentient being in this world, so only I matter, so I have to take care of myself. Let me enjoy this life in any way I want, because everyone else is just my mental projection. If we have such an idea, that is a height of egotism. So long as we rise as ego, we seem to be a person. So this person seems to be sentient. So we are very concerned about this person. We want to provide food, clothing, shelter, all comforts for this person. But if we are so concerned about this person, we should be equally concerned about every other person. Because just like we want to live in this body, all the other semi-egos want to live in their bodies. So this is why ahiṁsā is the fundamental moral principle of the spiritual path, whether it's yoga or whatever it may be. I mean, in all Indian forms of spirituality are based on ahiṁsā. In what is called Hinduism, which is actually just a family of different beliefs, in Buddhism, Jainism, ahiṁsā is the fundamental. If you For worldly people, it's not stressed so much. But if you want to follow the spiritual path, if you want to start following any sort of yoga, any form of spiritual path, the first thing is you need to have compassion and not to harm others, because those others seem to be. Michael is not real, but in your view, Shawn is real, and Michael is as real as Shawn. Neither Shawn nor Michael are real, nor is the I that says I am Shawn. But so long as you're aware of yourself as I am Shawn, that I that is aware of itself as I am Shawn is ego. And so everything else seems to be real. While we are dreaming, the dream seems to be perfectly real. Only when we wake up from the dream are we able to recognize that it was just a dream. Are we able to actually experience it as not real? Why was it real so long as we were experiencing it? Because in a dream, we experience ourselves as a body in that dream. Because we experience that body as ourself, and what is actually real is only ourself. So when we experience a body as ourself, that body seems to be real. And since that body is a part of the world, the whole world seems to be real. So as long as we are dreaming, the dream world seems to be real. Just like so long as we're in our present state, this world seems to be real. So Bhagavan did teach ekajivavada. That means the truth, the teaching that there's only one ego. But that we are taught that in order to make us turn within to investigate, who am I, this one ego? But so long as we are facing outwards, in effect, we have to act as if there are many egos. Because our all actions are of what? Of mind, speech, and body. This mind, speech, and body are a part of this whole illusion.
So, well, I'm following it much better now, but I would just say, like, I'm still not seeing sort of an intrinsic motivation, because you're denying at least ultimately, you're denying objective reality. And if there's no objective
I'm not only denying objective reality, I'm also denying there is no objective reality. There is also no subjective reality.
Exactly.
Subject and object are both unreal. What is real lies beyond both subject and object. The fundamental awareness in which both subject and object appear, that is the reality.
Yes, I agree with that. I just kind of don't see the motivation to act morally, except kind of like I'm supposed to, and kind of like it's good for me, and kind of like it's spiritual to do so. Oh, and it'll eradicate my ego.
Isn't that enough motivation?
It is for me. I'm kind of trying to think of it like philosophically.
All the troubles you face are because of ego. Only when you rise as ego, in sleep you have no trouble because there's no ego. In the absence of ego, there's nothing. When we rise as ego, all this multiplicity seems to exist, and we face all sorts of troubles. So the motivation to be free of ego is a very good motivation.
That's true.
Even when we rise as ego, the more selfish we are, the more self-centered we are, the less happy we are. To the extent that we are able to surrender this ego, at least to some extent, that is giving up, reducing the strength of our likes, dislikes, and so on, to that extent we can live happily. So there's a very good motivation. If you are kind and caring and empathetic and compassionate, you will be able to live a more peaceful, calm and contented life. Whereas if you're wrapped up only in Shawn, if Shawn alone is what matters to you, and you want only the well-being of Shawn and you don't care about anyone else, you're going to live a pretty miserable life. So solipsism, if correctly understood in the way Bhagavan taught it, is the very opposite of narcissism.
Okay.
Many people may think solipsism will lead to the worst kind of narcissism, but only if it's not correctly understood.
Yeah, it can't be as an ego, but if it's the ultimate solipsism, if you like.
No, even Bhagavan teaches solipsism. Bhagavan does teach solipsism. He said there's only one ego.
I see.
But so long as that ego rises, so long as that ego is looking outwards, it seems to exist. When it turns back within, it dissolves. So long as we are looking outwards, though there is only one ego, there seem to be many egos. Because this ego takes itself to be a person, in its view, every person is an ego. Person means not only human people, including animals.
Mm-hmm.
That is, when we look at any animal, a deer or a cow or a dog or a tiger, we can see they have personalities.
Yes, I agree.
They have all the same features of seeming awareness that a human being has.
Yep.
So because we take ourselves to be a body and therefore take that body to be a sentient, we take every other body to be equally sentient. So long as we're under that illusion, we need to be kind, considerate, caring, and doing our best to avoid causing harm to any other living being.
A lot of people have misunderstandings about this stuff, and it would be good to have sort of someone who knows at the top, so to speak.
There will always be misunderstandings. However, Bhagavan explained it so many times. Still, people who lived with him for years still didn't understand it.
That's true,
because
yeah.
You need a certain subtlety of mind and intellect and a purity of heart to understand it.
That makes sense.
And so those who are ready to understand it will understand it. Those who are not ready to understand it will not understand it.